Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. Happy Monday. Oh, I'm sorry. Happy Wednesday. I don't know what I'm thinking. Happy Wednesday, everybody. See, that's what happens when you do live. There's no room for mistakes. So happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to another Wake Up Wednesday here with me, Asia Nasir, founder and executive director of Jessica Cares, which is a nonprofit organization or 501c3 nonprofit organization where our platform is to empower and build self-esteem and sense of self-worth with teen girls and women, and we've been doing that since 2010. So this is our 15th year in doing what we do, and Wake Up Wednesdays is something that we started last year to help us just to have those quick reset buttons that we need every now and then to be able to keep us aligned with our goals, our vision, and to not let the world and life do what it do and bring us down, to keep us focused and to keep us where we need to be. And it's just sometimes just that wake-up call that we need every now and then to keep us on the straight path and doing what we need to be doing as individuals. So welcome, as I mentioned before, welcome to another Wake Up Wednesday here with me, and we're going to be talking about a great topic today, which I think all of our topics have been pretty good, and it has been receiving positive response, and this week is no different. So today we're going to be talking about something that I think, especially as the months get closer to the end of the year, people start becoming a little more reflective about what has my year been looking like. Have I grown this year? Have I accomplished? And sometimes that brings on happy thoughts and proud moments, and then for some of us it brings on sometimes a sadness or disappointment within ourselves and things like that. And we need that wake-up call, because sometimes the perspective and how we're looking at things is really not how we should be looking at it when we're thinking from a negative perspective. And so I want to share some strategies on how to turn struggles into strength and how to rise above every challenge. And that's why I said, around this time, that's when we get a little more reflective about, where we are as it relates to, where we want to be in our life and so forth. And I want you to engage. So there's going to be a couple of moments where I'm going to, ask you to engage, put things in the comments to hopefully, keep this conversation going and to keep you engaged, to think about yourself and how you fit into what we're talking about, because we're all faced with challenges. We're all faced with challenges. We're all faced with, things that we need to overcome. And sometimes we get stuck. Sometimes we're in that place where we're like, I haven't figured this out yet. So I'm hoping that this live is going to give you some strategies to help you do that. One of the other things in this particular live is we're going to be intentionally focusing on not just women being able to overcome, but also for the teen girls that follow us. A lot of times what, feedback that I've gotten is we have, solutions and strategies for women, and that's great because we service women, but also the teen girls, they're like, what are the tips for us? Because life is different for teenagers and for women, and their ability to do things and not do things shifts, depending on your age. So we're going to be specifically giving strategies for teen girls as well as women in this live and moving forward. So let's get started. So again, talking about turning struggles into strength, how to rise above, those challenges. Let's talk about, so I have about 3 to 4 strategies this morning that I want to share with you. So the first strategy, in order to, turn what we feel is a struggle into an opportunity or overcoming a challenge is we have to redefine what we see as a challenge. Our mindset and how we think about things, how we approach things has a lot to do with, rising above something or being stuck in it. So redefining what struggle means to you. A lot of times when we're faced with a challenge or with a test, in our life, we automatically go to the negative, right? Like this must be a result of some form of weakness that I have within my personality, or, for some people from a spiritual perspective, they look at it as a form of punishment. I must be being punished, if I'm going through this. And so if you're in that mindset of I'm being punished, or this is some form of weakness, a consequence for a weakness that I have within myself, that's going to keep you in a negative space and not being able to rise above. You almost become a victim to your own mindset, and thinking like you deserve to have what you're having, and this is some form of negativity or reflection of some form of negativity or some form of punishment that God must be placing on you, as a result of you being challenged with something, or feeling like you're being tested, right? So what I want to challenge you to do, and I'm speaking to both teen girls and women, I want you to reframe that thought that this is a weakness or this is a punishment. I want you to reframe that thought process as a means. I'm going through this not as a punishment, not as a negative, but as a means for growth, right? So when you're in the thick of what you're going through and it doesn't feel good, no challenge and no test feels good. And let's just be real. It doesn't feel good. So when you're in the thick of it and you're feeling like, this is bad, I don't feel good, this is hurting me, I have a pain, an emotional pain, even sometimes a physical pain because of what you're going through, ask yourself in that moment, instead of saying the negative, right? This is a reflection of some weakness or some punishment. I want you to reframe that and ask yourself, what is this challenge trying to teach me? What is this challenge trying to teach me? Because here is where the growth comes. What is this challenge trying to teach me? And this is where personal development comes in. Asking yourself that self-reflective question, what is this challenge trying to teach me? Instead of it being a weakness, how is this a way for me to grow? Am I contributing to it? Am I making decisions, repetitive decisions that are not aligning with where I want to go or who I want to be or what I want to be, right? Ask yourself that. Am I aligning? Am I associating with people that are not good for me? Am I, contributing in some way, not as a form of weakness, but as a form of growth? What do I know? Some self-awareness, some clarity, right? What is this trying to teach me? Am I making the same decisions? And it's like that saying, making the same choice twice, or doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, right? Because when you do this, at this point, you take control over the struggle. You now take control over the struggle versus it being the other way around, where the struggle now is taking over you. You're going to work depressed. You're going to school depressed. You don't. Your mindset is different. You can't concentrate. You can't do anything because this is the constant negative thought that you have regarding your life, right? So I want you to actually look at yourself and say, what is the lesson? What is the lesson? So whether you're a spiritual person or not, ask yourself, what is this challenge that I'm going through? What is this test that I'm going through right now? What is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to teach me? Because now you're not coming from a victimhood perspective. You're coming from a person who's taking ownership, and you're saying, now that I have some clarity and I have some self-awareness, I'm going to make some changes. And now that's when the wheels start turning and things actually start shifting. So the thing that was once a challenge now becomes a moment of overcoming, a moment of, victory versus victimhood, right? So one of the strategies that I want to give to the girls to actually do to help you to be able to kind of more take control over where you want and align your mindset with where you want to go, and things like that, and what you want to gain from this is, I want you, and this is for both the women and the men, but there's a different time frame. I mean, the women and the teens. The teen girls, I want you to write yourself a future letter that your 18-year-old self will read. And I want you to write a letter to yourself, asking yourself in the middle of what you're going through, what challenge you're going through, what lesson do I hope to say I've learned when I turn 18 when I read this letter to myself, what lesson would I have wanted to learn from this? Because when you start putting things in writing, when you start saying things out loud, right? It takes on your mindset, now embraces, and your faculties follow what you tell it. So when you tell yourself, this is the lesson that I want to learn, this is what I want to gain, this is who I want to be as a result of me taking on this self-ownership, again, you're no longer the victim. You are now in control and your faculties follow. I'm not going to stay stuck in this situation feeling like I'm being punished or I'm a weakness. Is a strength that comes from it, because now I'm taking control over shifting, because now I'm making a promise to myself that this is what I want to be once I turn 18. This is the lesson that I would have wanted to learn. So when you open up that letter, you can be amazed. It's almost like when you create a vision board. It's amazing what you find that you've actually accomplished from that vision board, because now it is no longer something in your subconscious. It is something that is in the conscious, something very active in your mind, and your body and your faculties follow. Because everything that we do, our body movement, decisions that we make, starts here. So you have to start, as a teenager, start developing your mind where you are controlling how your mind thinks. So reframing this thinking that this is a weakness or this challenge is some form of, something, redefining what struggle means. Struggle means growth. There's something for me to grow from this. And so I challenge the women that are listening to do the same thing. Write yourself a future letter that in 2 years, and I'm going to tell you, this actually works because I have a dear friend. Her name is Shri. And when she and I was in this journey together of really becoming self-aware and really doing the personal work that was necessary, we did it together and we were sharing with each other. And I remember she and I said to each other, and I'll never forget it, I can't wait to meet myself in 2 years. And we had shared what we wanted to do. And it was amazing that literally everything that she and I were sharing with one another that we wanted to do and wanted to become, I'm telling you, in those 2 years, when we had the conversation, it was like, can you believe you're actually doing this? You actually said you wanted to do this, and vice versa. So affirmation, speaking it out loud, writing about it, those type of things, it really helps to shift your mind, and in order for movement and action to follow, right? One of the things that you can also do in reframing your mind, and this is something that I did when I divorced my children, when me and my children's father divorced after 13 years of marriage. That wasn't easy. And that was a challenge. That was a challenge because I was looking at divorce as a personal failure. My marriage didn't work. There was something wrong with me. And I started listening to, every morning when I was getting ready for work and doing what I was doing, I was listening to one particular song every morning. And it's amazing what you play in your mind helps to again, shift the way you think. And I was playing the word Survivor from Destiny's Child. So I played that every morning, and that song really helped me to be able to, it wasn't where I was feeling, but it was where I was wanting to go. It was where I was wanting to feel. It was what I wanted to be, embody. And I played that song, and let me tell you, that helped me to push through days that I was not feeling my best. And I was feeling like this challenge is killing me. This challenge is hurting me. It's taking its toll. And I listened to that stuff every morning, and it shifted the way I was able to start my morning, which had everything to do with how the rest of my day went. So, it could be prayer, whatever you choose to listen to. But have a power playlist that, breathes life and strength and courage and, things like that for you. So that's strategy number one. Strategy number two is leverage your community and not isolation. When we're going through things, the first thing we want to do is tuck away in some type of, a hole or solitude. We don't want to be around people. We don't want to talk to anybody. We want to just kind of sit in our isolation and be in silence. And there's room for that. There are moments where you do need to be in solitude. You do need to, as we were talking about before, self-reflect, and what am I looking to grow, and what lesson am I looking to, you need to do that and have that alone time to be able to have that personal development. But a lot of us, we take it to another level of, I don't want to be around people. I'm not answering phone calls. And these phone calls are coming from, people who really care about us, people who are concerned, like, I haven't seen you, you're not picking up your phone. Are you okay? I just want to hear your voice. These are people that are calling and reaching out to you. And because you're in your place of sadness or whatever, you've taken that solitude and you've made it where you're isolating yourself. And what I will tell you is that is a cesspool for the devil. I'm sorry about that. I live next to a fire station, so this is all the time. But yeah, the devil loves isolation, because you're not hearing any other perspective except that negative playlist that you have in your mind. And the devil goes, well, let me encourage you in that. Let me support that narrative. Let me make you think more of that narrative. And you don't hear any other perspective except the enemy. And so isolation is the worst thing that you can do. We need that alone time, but to stay in that alone time for a long period of time is detrimental to you being able to rise above whatever it is that you're going through. So you got to flip that and lean into your community. So if you were to ask yourself, who is my community, right? Who is my community that I can lean into? Well, if you want to type in the chat and on YouTube, or if you want to write on Facebook, write your comments or whatever. I want to challenge you to do that. And speaking of Facebook, let me see if our Facebook family is on here. So I want you to think about that. Who is your community? What would you constitute as your community? Who would you say is part of your community? Who would that be? So when I'm thinking about, I want you to think, and I'm going to sit in that awkward silence. Who would you constitute as being in your community? Who would that constitute as being in your community? So when I think of community, I think of, could it be your mom, maybe the older women in your family? So I'm speaking to teens and I'm speaking to women. Would it be the older women, your aunties, your grandmothers, your mother? Would those be some who you call the women folk in your family? Would that constitute as your community? Women who have experienced things, women who have knowledge about things, women who, they have a lot of wisdom under their belt. You know what I mean? Would that be part of your community? Would community be your best friend? Would that constitute as, your community, your dearest and closest friends that you share things that you don't share with other people, that often give you good advice, that often give you support? Would it be that? Would it be your place of worship? And for some people, that's their community, right? So would it be your imam? Would it be your pastor? Would it be your priest? Someone that have shown you from, experience that this is someone who you can trust. That's community. That's who your community is. Or is there a support group? Is there a guidance counselor at school that is showing up as your community, right? Those are the people that you want to make it a point that when you're in those moments, when you're feeling your lowest and you're struggling through your challenge, or you're in the thick of your challenge, I challenge you to share your story, your journey. And again, it's with trusted individuals, not share it on social media. because we see that a lot. Social media is not the platform, because there's some crazy people behind those phones and those laptops and them desktops. There's some crazy people out here. You do not want to share that, because there's some predators that will prey upon your journey in a moment of, not weakness, but in a moment where you're vulnerable. They're going to prey on that. So what you have to do is, again, be selective and leverage on that trusted community. I want to continue to emphasize that. Your trusted community, not social media. So that's the older women in your family, the possibly the person, in your house of worship, or, that trusted friend, that guidance counselor, whoever that may be, your therapist. Share that. Do not isolate yourself, because in isolation, it continues to manifest. And collective strength, I can't say this enough, collective strength multiplies personal resilience. Make no mistake about it. Collective strength, it multiplies your personal resilience. Why? Because you start getting that support, you start getting that, that let's do this and let's that, and it makes your day go by better. It helps you to see things differently. You're challenging yourself, and now you have that collective. When they say it takes a village, that's not just with a child. That's with every individual. It takes a village to be able to get over things, as long as they are trusted people that have your best interests at heart. So I want you to start thinking again, who is your collective, who is your community that you can reach out to be able to do that. So here's a challenge that I want you to do. If you don't have someone, right? Sometimes that happens. Maybe you don't have that, or maybe you've been challenged with who your community is. Maybe there's been some betrayal that you had, or an experience that you had that makes you leery about your trusted, people in your community. Well, if that's the case for you, hope is not lost. There are some podcasts out here right now that are all about, empowering teens and empowering girls, right? Listening to podcasts that have a positive message to it, following talk shows, that have positive messaging to it, pages. So if you're on social media, especially for our teen girls, if you're on social media, instead of following some of the things that are not negative and it kind of keeps you in that space, why don't you follow pages that, where transparency is the norm, sharing vulnerability is the norm, sharing overcoming certain things is the norm. Tap into that community and let that then become your community, because what happens is it shifts your perspective. And when you're listening to these podcasts and when you're listening to these, songs and different things like that, what perspective, I'm going to ask you to question yourself, and I wrote it down actually because I did not want to forget. When you're listening to these podcasts, when you're listening to, teen girls and women sharing and being vulnerable from a positive perspective, what perspective or strategy did you gain that you can apply to your own current challenge, right? Ask yourself that, okay? Ask yourself that. When you listen to those stories that they're sharing on the talk show, on the podcast or whatever, how does their story resonate with me? How can I tap into what they did and make it apply to myself and change, whatever's going on in my life? That's what you need to ask yourself. And then the last strategy is anchor yourself in vision, not circumstance. Anchor yourself in vision and not circumstance. Why do I say that? Because circumstances is going to come and go. Good times is going to come and it's going to go. Bad times come, and it's like the seasons, on the East Coast, the different seasons that you have is going to come and go. Nothing bad lasts forever. No circumstance that you're in is going to last forever. That's just the reality. It's going to change. It doesn't last forever. So knowing that circumstances don't last forever, then don't focus on the circumstance itself. Focus on the vision that you have for yourself. In spite of what you're going through, what is my vision? What do I want to see for myself, right? Where do I want to be versus where I am right now? Don't focus on that. Focus on where you want to be. In spite of what you're going through, where do I want to be? Because again, that's going to help to propel you in doing, what you need to do to not stay stuck. It serves as a compass, It serves as a compass. Yeah, I'm here, but I still need to be doing these things in order to get here, where I'm not staying in this. It serves as a compass for you, where your decisions now are going to be based off of where you're trying to be and not for your current circumstance. And that is powerful. That is taking control of your circumstance, where you are going to almost guarantee that the circumstance that you are is not going to last forever. There's going to be a shift because I'm working in that. I'm not sitting in that and making decisions based off of the circumstance. I'm making decisions based off of my vision. And that is going to put you in a powerful position. And celebrate your small victories up until you get to where you want to be. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. I want to share a challenge, because sharing is caring. I want you to send me, whether it's a DM, whether it's an email, and I'm going to put my email address here for some of you that want to email me. I'm going to put my email here so that way you can share with me a struggle. And we're going to do this challenge until, let's see, we're in the ending of August, the ending of September. I want you to share. I want you to share a particular struggle that you have overcome, or you've used maybe one of these strategies and it's helped you to be able to see things in a different perspective. And the person that has the most powerful or the most impactful change, inspirational change, I want you to share that with me, and we're going to have you on our talk show, Conversations with Asia. So we're going to choose from one teen girl and one adult woman to be a part of our Conversations with Asia for our October edition, of our show, episode of our show, to share, overcoming and rising above challenges. And October is a special month because it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Talk about challenges and overcoming. We want to have some inspirational stories for those that are tuning in and our followers. So that is the challenge. And when you send it in your DM or your email, I want you to hashtag it. What did I want it to hashtag? I want you to hashtag Rising Above Challenge with Asia. Rising Above Challenge with Asia. That's what I want you to have in your DM or your email to me or a text message to me. And then each story that you have up until the end of September to be able to share something that you've been struggling with and what you've been doing to overcome or rise above. And you will be chosen to be on our talk show, Conversations with Asia. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I got to hop off of this thing because it's 10 o'clock and I got to get to my Instagram family and share, this discussion today. So I want you to be thinking about that, be really self-reflective, and be hopeful and optimistic that the moment that you're in, the circumstance that you're in, the challenge that you're in, is not forever. And you have control over how long you stay in this or how you rise above it. So I'll see you in a couple of weeks, God willing, for another live here with me on Wake Up Wednesday.